Om, dear fellow member of Vasudev Kutum, dear fellow wave on the ocean of pure consciousness, today we shall share the ninth discourse of the series of early sadhana of the Ganesh Puri Ashram. So, the ninth discourse. We've already covered the daily routine of the Ganesh Puri Ashram as I experienced it in 1975. And now we come to, I'll share with you my experiences with someone I consider my best friend in Siddha Yoga. Someone who's right from the beginning been with me, in the sense we did seva together for about a year and a half. And we shared a room on the terrace of the main Nityanand temple when I shifted to the ashram in 1976, July 1st, 1976. I took 6 months off from Glaxo and shifted to the ashram, and Swamiji came and left his ground floor bedroom cum office and shared a room with me on the terrace of the main building. So I had a chance to see a Siddha, a completely realized soul, live his day for about a year, from 1st of July 1976 to the day he was part of the first batch of what we call the Muktanand Swamis. Swami Muktanand in 1977, early 77, or May 77, created a special order of Muktanand Swami, and he was in that first batch of so ordained. And then, of course, he had to leave and join the other monks on the. They had, I think, chatai or something spread on the floor as a bed, and so he had to join that lot. But that was in about mid-77. So, but this is the story of Swami Muktanand, only to me in those early days. He was, once upon a time, he met Baba in Delhi. He was at that time in the PR department of either Air India or Indian Airlines, one of those two. He was in the PR department, public relations department of that. And like so many other devotees in Delhi, Baba used to celebrate from 1964 onwards, celebrated Mahashivratri in Delhi. He used to come to Mahashivratri to Delhi for the Mahashivratri celebration. From February, March, Mahashivratri happens in February, March every year. So in February, March 1964, he started this ritual of spending Mahashivratri in Delhi. It is interesting that in 64, and he used to stay at, there was a military official, I think Captain or Commander Pratap or something. He had those houses near India International Center adjoining Lodi Gardens. We had large gardens. Those houses, the government houses, with large gardens. And he used to stay in one of those and have an early morning walk in Lodi Gardens. Now, this is very interesting because in 1964, February, March, I was just completing my first year at St. Stephen's. I shifted to Delhi from Yale College at the conclusion of my schooling and got admission to St. Stephen's in 1963 and started at St. Stephen's. The usual college year starts in about July 63. And by February, March 64, I was completing my first year at St. Stephen's. And it's interesting that Lodi Gardens is very close to my maternal grandfather's house in Golf Links. My maternal grandfather had a house in Lahore which he lost because of partition. And the government of India gave him land in Golf Links to build he was a civil engineer, so he knew how to build his own house. He built his own house in Golf Links in 1950, I think, 1950. So Golf Links was a house where the family used to visit often, to visit my grandfather. And my mother had about 12 brothers and sisters. And they all used to congregate, many of them used to congregate in my grandfather's house in Golf Links. So I knew Lodi Gardens quite well because of the proximity to my maternal grandfather's house. Anyway, so Swami Madhavan in those days, Murli, a PR student, a PR employee of either Air India or Indian Airlines, happened to meet Baba at one of these functions, Mahashivratri functions. And he was so affected that a few months later, by I think December 73, must have met him in January, February 73. In December 73, he landed up at the Ganesh Puri ashram. And as he told me later, he had to drag the ocean of energy that the ashram is. He had to drag himself into the courtyard. And Baba Muktaland gave him, he said he specially led me to this accounts chair. He took me first, he said, you sit here and stay here until I come back. Swami Muktaland was at that time planning a world trip, one second or third world trip, which would keep him away for about 1 or 2 years, 2.5, something. He went in, finally Baba Muktaland left in February 74, 26th of February 1974, Tuesday the 26th of February 1927. He left Bombay airport and only came back in September 76. You can imagine that's all the rest of 74, all of 75 and most of 76, 9 months of 76. So there's a 2.5 year tour or something else. Anyway, so before he left for this tour, he personally told the then Murli, please sit in this accounts chair and don't move from this chair until I come back. And remember, it was 2 months later. This must have happened in December 73, January 74. And in May 74, I paid my first visit to the Ganesh Puri ashram in the company of my friend. Again, a second generation Delhi devotee who happened to be working in Bombay like I was at that time. Anyway, so the point was that at that time, my friend pointed out this Murli and said, in that one day that I spent with him at the Ganesh Puri ashram, he said, this guy just comes from Delhi and keep an eye out for him because he met my parents. My friend was, who introduced me to Siddh Yoga was someone called Naren Nanda, and he was the son of Balram Nanda and his wife Janak Nanda. Both of them were at that time, I think, editing the Siddh Yoga magazine from Delhi, Gurvani, I think, Gurvani. Both of them were one after the other editors of Gurvani, which was the Delhi publication from again, they had met Baba during his January-February celebration of Mahashivratri in Delhi and become devotees of his probably sometime in the 60s. So by the time that 76 came along, 75 came along, they were very senior Delhi devotees, close devotees of Baba in Delhi. And so they had, Murli had visited them before coming to the ashram. So he was able to point out this guy just met my parents, so you look out for him. He was obviously very affected by Siddh Yoga as a result. And so I found myself in 1975, must have been September, we started in July, August, once Shirish Bhai, the accountant in charge of the trustee, the secretary of the ashram trust, decided he needed construction accounts and roped me in for that job to start the construction accounts. And since there was only one accounts table in a small accounts room with Swamiji on one side and I sitting on the other side of the same table, that was how our relationship started with incomparable, that what I can only call the rocket scientist, spiritual rocket scientist, Madhavan, who went on to edit after he became a Swami ashram publication started called Nileshwari He was the first editor of Nileshwari, for many, many decades. He edited Nileshwari until his retirement. Anyway, all that 10-minute program has ended, and we will discuss more about Swamiji in our next discourse. Thank you very much for listening.